Yes, I played the butler, Carter Wilson, who Cecil Gaines, played by Forrest Whitaker's character, meets the first day he's in the White House. And my character is probably that uncle that you have that says everything that shouldn't be said, but he says anyway. Maybe it's something that people think but they don't voice their opinions, and he just blurts it out because he's living life gregariously through whatever situation he stumbles himself in.
And James Holloway, I think he's a man who knows how to operate on different levels. You know, he does his job well. He knows how to work in the White House and deal with all the politics. At the same time, he's well-read, he's smart, he likes to think that he's cultured, and you know, as you see in the scene in the locker room when he's talking to Cuba's character, you know, and to Forrest about the cellist that's coming, and they don't, you know, they don't know the whole history and on this guy, and I'm calling Cuba's character ignorant, you know, in fun, but he's just thinking, you know, well, I'm above this, you know, I know things that these guys don't know. I can draw from my grandfather and my uncles and my cousins and people, you know, that I grew up with, you know, that were in this position, not working at the White House, but in this position.
Yeah, one of the things, the lures for the script was that whole aspect of having two faces, being that professional face that you wear in certain circles, and then having that more relaxed street camaraderie. And I thought the specific statements that the film makes about African American men and the faces that we have to wear to be more accessible and acceptable, and then the others to be more guarded and you know, and show our power and our, you know, our intelligence in a way that, you know, without caring if the statements that it makes on other people, but just letting our abilities shine without insecurity. I think this movie deals with some of that, and I think it's powerful statements to make. Well, my first film I did with Lee was Shadowboxer, and that was his directorial debut. So I really got to see him kind of come into his own in terms of the statement he wants to make as a filmmaker, his voice as a filmmaker. You know, being a gay black man, as boisterous as he is, and as, you know, powerful a personality he is in a room, and yet can be so completely focused on the minutest detail of a scene and of an expression, and I, you know, I'm just a huge fan of his, and this movie is finally one that he can tell with his voice on an epic scale, and I think that people will really realize how complete a filmmaker, how complete an auteur he is. And that word is thrown out a lot, but I think when you see somebody like this, you realize that it will be his body of work that will be appreciated and not just one film's statement.
How important this struggle was and still is. You know, we've come so far, but we still have a long way to go. And it's been very emotional for people. You know, it's very interesting sitting in the screenings and hearing the emotion that's coming out of folks. It's really touching something, and I think that somehow it's a very good time for this story to be told again in a different way.
There's a certain amount of disconnect with young kids today, you know, to even think of the idea that slavery happened here on American soil, that kids were going to college and leaving college and dying on buses and at lunch counters because of the color of their skin, or that, you know, there were white-only water fountains. I mean, these are things that we can easily forget about, you know, and this is a story to remind us that the atrocities that happened in Europe and during World War II happened, but there were also atrocities here on our home soil that we can never forget about. I had never worked with her before, but I'd done a bunch of interviews with her. I did the Oprah Winfrey Show. I did the Next Chapter and whatnot, and I know how open and wonderful a woman she is, and aware of her aura and her energy when she walks into a room, and knows how to, let that go and disarm people and be open to them. So I knew she was going to be a wonderful actress to work with. But you got to remember, we also had Jane Fonda and Vanessa Redgrave, and I mean, I could just go off this list of people that, when they all came into the room, there was that same thing that would happen. So this was a true treat for me, specifically as an actor who, loves to, play volley with other actors who take what they do very seriously, other entertainers and actors that take themselves very seriously and the work seriously, and the work becomes the celebrity. It's a treat.